Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, joined by Terry McAllister, and today we're going to be talking about the new Everton away kit released this morning. It's a sort of, I think they're calling it fuchsia pink with geometric pattern across it in a blue. Give me your thoughts on it first of all, Terry.
You know what? When I first saw it, I was sort of in two minds because I've always wanted Everton to have that tone of pink. I think they're calling it rose bloom pink. I've just been looking at the press release. But to me, it's like, Palermo in Italy. It's Palermo pink. And we've had different pinks in the past, like fuchsia pink, like, sort of like bright neon pinks. I've always wanted us to have that colour as our away kit because I think it's really nice. What I wasn't sure on was the pattern. But as like I've looked at it more and more, I've sort of getting used to that, and like the sort of geometric design, I'm a fan of the kit. It's one that grows on you, I think, and I'm a big fan. I've always wanted us to have that colour kit, and now that I've got it, I'm not going to turn around and say I don't like it.
Yeah, I quite like it. Like you said, it's one of those that grows on you. The geometric pattern certainly helps it. One of the big things, obviously, the home kit showed that it wasn't going to be that bad, but I don't think the sponsor logo I think it looks even smaller with this geometric shapes going on around it. I don't think it looks as bad as fans first worried when we got with Stake.
Yeah, I mean, I did understand people's concerns about the sponsor for the graphically, the way it looks. I mean, obviously there's the other topic of what the sponsor is, but it's not for now. But yeah, I don't think it looks out of place. It doesn't look as natural a fit when it's got a pattern underneath it, I'll be honest, but I think it looks fine size wise. But I don't think it's a bad thing. I think because we've had so many plain sponsors the last few years, like Sport Pezza was just nothing, wasn't it? It was just block like writing, and because it was a little bit better because it looked like a real logo. But I think Stake it doesn't detract from the kit. I think people worried that it would. For me, it doesn't. I think it looks fine. The home kit, it looks a little bit more natural on it because there's no bold pattern. There's like the obviously embossed pattern, but with this pink kit, as you say, it makes it look smaller, it makes it look more natural in terms of size. But I think it's a little bit more jarring just because of the pattern underneath it.
Yeah, I completely agree. One of the other major things they Hummel are pushing in the club as well is the lowering of the chevrons. I believe they've gone down to 2 now, whereas last year it was 3 chevrons. Is it something you noticed, or is it something that it's one of them where you don't notice it until Hummel come out and say it?
Oh no, I notice everything. I'm terrible. I went the original Hummel chevrons down each arm is always 4 chevrons because obviously 3 is a bit too similar to Adidas, I'm sure. But all the training gear last year and ever since we've had Hummel, that's always been 2 chevrons, but the kits have been 4. But they've moved to 2 this year, and I was a bit unsure on that at first because I was like, I do think 4 looks better and looks more deliberate, but I haven't seen the home kit and now the away kit. I think the 2 works for these type of kits because it's less dominance if you've got 2 rather than 4. It's more like a smaller feature. So with a kit that's got a pattern, a bold, like geometric pattern like this one as well, I think the chevrons as well might be a little bit too much. So I think the 2 does complement the kit well.
Yeah, it seems like they've gone for a sort of simplified, which I think is the way of corporate companies in the world, but they've gone to sort of simplifying. Another example of that is the tower on the back of the kit. I quite like the tower. When we went to see the home kit, they were sort of saying that might be not like a corporate logo because obviously that's a club emblem, but it is sort of like a stake that's going to stay there as a logo and an identity, which is nice and simple. What are your thoughts on the tower, which they seem to be pushing quite a lot as the theme of this year's kit?
Yeah, I noticed that when they first started using it. It was last year, so I would wonder if it was an Everton thing rather than a Hummel thing, like sort of minimalist version of the tower. Like you wouldn't have something like that replace the badge per se, but like in terms of branding, that can as a sort of signature imprint. It's like a stripped back, sort of one note version of whatever. So Liverpool did it with their badge. Obviously, they took the crest off it and just made it the Liver Bird. I don't think it's the same as that, but it's the sort of same principle where it's more recognisable and more punchy to just have just the tower. And I like it. I'm all for that. It's like a modernised version of the badge, and I think it will probably stick around, even if down the line we move away from Hummel. I think it'll stick around and like put club communications and a graphic for reveal videos. You see a lot of it in new player like videos, and when we sign appointed Frank Lampard and whatever. Like I think I do like it. It's a nice little touch. I like it.
Yeah, I think you bang on the money. I think it's more of an Everton corporate thing than Hummel. And like you sort of alluded to, I think Hummel's deal is up this year, so it'll be interesting to see what the new kit is unless Hummel win the bid, obviously. What do you think about the goalkeeper's kit? I actually looked at this, and this one I was a little bit a little bit hesitant, but again, this one's sort of grown on me. It's almost like a netting sort of pattern of pink, on a black background.
I'll be honest, I'm not really a fan of the goalkeeper kit. It doesn't offend me or anything. I'm not like, oh, that's terrible. But I'm not really keen on the goalkeeper kits, like in general. Like they're always, for me, I like things to be a bit more clean and simple. Whereas obviously goalkeeper kits, you're not going to have that. You're going to have it a little bit more over designed. But it's not the worst. It's not like it's bad or anything. I'm just like, I wouldn't be buying that goalkeeper kit, but I also don't like the green one either. So maybe it's just not for me. The goalkeeper kits in general, they're always very, very busy. I always think, and I like them to be a little bit more simple.
Yeah, I must admit the goalkeeper's kit for the home kit this season is a bit. I like a funky kit, but that seems to be just a little bit odd for me. I much prefer the sound waves one from, I think it was last season or season before. This kit is announced to be worn in the second pre-season friendly in the US against Adrian Heath's Minnesota United on Wednesday. Quite excited to see what it looks like in person, because I must admit, the one thing I did think when I was watching the photos and then watched the video is they seem like two different colours in the photo and then in the video. Obviously, that depends on lighting as well. So it'd be nice to see the kit in a natural light, or as natural as you'll get. And sort of see how it looks then.
Yeah, definitely. It always in every kit ever made looks better on players. Like when you see them, when you see like the leaks and it's always just on a hanger, or it's like the website image and it's just the dry sort of just image of the shirt, you always think, oh, doesn't look very good. But then you see like Dominic Calvert-Lewin wearing it, or you'll see, a player wearing it, and it always looks better. It was, I always remember back that you'd see new kits years ago, but when Tim Cahill put it on, because he was, tanned and good looking, it was like, oh, it looks well better on him. Like it when you see it in person, it'll go up a few notches. So if you're not a fan of it, you'll probably come around to it a little bit more when you see it on players. And if you are a fan of it, you'll love it even more. Like that's always been my experience.
Yeah, and hopefully, I think some players already from the photos, Iwobi, it seems to suit very well. Mikolenko doesn't look bad in it either, to be fair. Another thing is it's not the first pink kit we've had. We've had a couple down the year. The goalkeeper's kit does remind me of that black away kit we used to have with the pink sort of stripes, the polo style tee. It reminds me a bit of that.
Yeah, that's really popular, that kit with the white Chang and like the pink stripes on a black kit. I was never keen on that. I was one of the very few. It seems to have been remembered quite fondly, but the other pink kits we've had in the past I've always liked. Like we had I can't remember the season. It was the season we had the vanilla away kit, third kit as well, and it was like bright neon pink with navy shorts and pink socks. It was like a Moyes era, Cahill Arteta era kit, really nice. But the one thing this kit's got above it is just the tone of pink. I'm just in love with that sort of. I know it's rose blue, but it's Palermo pink to me. I really like it. So if most Evertonians like the amber away kits, like that seems to be the consensus, that the yellow amber away kits are always the most popular. For me, Everton's away colour should be that tone of pink. I've been wanting that for ages, and I finally got it, so I'm happy.
Finally, we'll touch on it because obviously Richard Kenyon of Hummel was speaking, and he said he's designed it on our traditional club colours with vivid stuff. Just goes on to say it's being bold and playful in the DNA, and that he wants to do things differently with a load of character. This isn't the first time we've seen Hummel sort of reference an era that's been sort of thing, like you said, the yellow kit for the Holy Trinity a couple of seasons ago. They had the sound waves of Goodison Park as well. Now it seems to be Rupert's Tower. Hummel do seem to be trying their best to not just make nice kits, but connect with the history of the club, and by doing that, hopefully connect with the fans.
Yeah, I mean, I think for like a sort of historic club, I think they're always going to try and find an angle where this mad pattern we've done, it's got this deep-rooted cultural meaning that's specific to the club, and I always think, is that just sort of thought of after the fact? Like last year's home kit was a bit spurious. Like, oh, this is like the ships that this pattern. The ships used to use this as camouflage in the World Wars. It's like, I mean, yeah, I suppose that's just seems like you had wanted to use this pattern, and that's to think of a reason after the fact. I reckon a lot of that goes on at every manufacturer, but. Yeah, I mean the top of the geometric graphic, that's meant to be based on Prince Rupert's Tower. I don't know how, but I'm always okay with a little bit more of a funky away kit. I like my rule of thumb is always I want the home kits to be classic. Route 1, they're really nice looking blue kits. Don't take chances with it, just make them look nice. Away kits, you can be a little bit more creative. You know what I mean? Like you get a little bit more out there, and that. They didn't do it in their first year. The first year, they were just classic all the way, and that was probably my favourite ever stable of Everton kits of Hummel's first season. But then last year, they went a bit outside the box with things, and they got it right most of the time. The scarlet, the burnt orange sash, not red, it's burnt orange, and then they had obviously the white kit, and they were really nice. So this year, it looks like they're going to do the same thing: classic home kits, funky away.
And hopefully an even funkier third kit. But I do get what you mean. It's a bit like English literature, isn't it? Sometimes with the kits where they're like, oh no, it actually means a deeper rooted. Just before we end, a quick one. Would you be keen to keep Hummel at the end of the season?
Yeah, I mean, we've had like various sponsors throughout our time, and I know a lot of people want like the more blue chip, brands like basically Nike and Adidas, and and that they're the two front runners. And as long as the kits are nice, I've never really liked the Umbro kits. Like you look through the Umbro kits and down Everton's history, and like there's a few good ones, but for the most part, they're not for me. Hummel, I've been happy with for the most part. Every kit they've done, there's only really ever been one kit, excluding goalkeeper kits, which is not my wheelhouse. But the only kit I've ever not liked is last year's home kit. Every other kit they've used has been a hit for me, so I'd be more than happy to carry on with Hummel. But obviously, it comes down to the financial side of things and who's paying the most. But if it came out over a lot of people, every time the sponsorship comes up or the kit comes up, it's like, well, next time we'll get Nike, or next time we'll get Adidas. I'd be happy with Hummel if they were the ones, because they've done nice kits for us.
Yeah, I'm the same. I've got no qualms with them, and the kits seem to be improving year on year, so I'm happy with that. That is all we've got time for, though. Don't forget to like the video, guys. Subscribe to the comments. Subscribe to the channel. Comment down below. And just to say, if you want to get your new Everton away kit, you can do that via a link in our description. It takes you straight to the Everton store where you can buy your new kit. So if you really do like the kit, go get it now. Terry, thank you for joining me.
Always a pleasure.
Thanks, and I'll see you guys soon.